Now, this one right here was going to affect 324,200 truck drivers from Canada, because majority of the trucking business from Canada, they got to come over here in America to do it, right? And that's where the money is. And so it's one of those things where I had a lot of Canadian truck drivers really worried about these tariffs. It was supposed to be enacted tomorrow, and President Trump has had phone calls with Mexico and now Canada. And if you haven't seen the video, he put a pause in Mexico for 30 days, and they sent out 10,000 troops to secure the border. He had a call this morning with Prime Minister Trudeau, and he said that the conversation went very well.
So I spoke with Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada, and we had a good talk in the morning, but I did ask him a couple of questions, like, banks aren't allowed to do business in Canada. Canada is very tough. Canada is very, we're not treated well by Canada.
And so he said that he would have another conversation with him later on today.
We don't need, and look, I think we're going to have another good conversation today. We're actually speaking at 3 o'clock again.
Which he just had, because it says here from X that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says, I just had a good call with President Trump. Canada is implementing our $1.3 billion border plan, reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology, and personnel, enhanced coordination with our American partners, and increased resource to stop the flow of fentanyl. Nearly 10,000 frontline personnel are and will be working on protecting the border, just like how he has Mexico doing that. In addition, Canada is making a new commitment to appoint a fentanyl czar. We will list cartels as terrorists, ensure 24/7 eyes on the border, launch a Canada-U.S. joint strike force to combat organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering. I have also signed a new intelligence directive and organized crime and fentanyl, and we will be backing it with $200 million. Proposed tariffs will be paused for at least 30 days while we work together. Mud truckers, what are your thoughts about this one? So, he had conversations with Mexico and Canada. Both have put a pause for 30 days. What do you think? Was he just flexing this whole time? Or do you think he was really going to do it? And for the Canadian truck drivers out there working in America, what are your thoughts about this now? I'm getting a lot of opinions from truck drivers about Mexico's tariffs. And so I would love to hear from you guys as well. My truckers comment down below, but just want to share this news with you because it is extremely important. And to the 324,000 truck drivers from Canada, I know a lot of your business you do in trucking is out in America. And so because this potentially can happen again in 30 days, what are you planning on doing?
I also spoke with Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada, and we had a good talk in the morning, but I did ask him a couple of questions, like, banks aren't allowed to do business in Canada. Canada is very tough. Canada is very, we're not treated well by Canada, and we have to be treated well. Banks are not, as an example, allowed. Did you know that American banks are not allowed to do business in Canada? Can you believe that? And that's one of many things, and we talked about it, and I think we'll win most of the subjects. But for some reason, a lot of things have been very unfair with Canada. I noticed that in the first term. You deal with people, and after a while you begin to realize, like you learn that Larry Ellison's very tough to do business with, okay? He's a very tough guy. I mean, I'm sure you're shocked to hear that. But Canada is very tough. They're very, very tough to do business with. And we can't let them take advantage of the U.S. They don't take our agricultural product for the most part. They don't take our cars. They make cars, but they basically don't take our cars. And, we don't need, and look, I think we're going to have another good conversation today. We're actually speaking at 3 o'clock again. But we don't need them to make our cars. We don't need them to give us lumber. We don't need them for agricultural products because we have all the agriculture we need. They don't take our agricultural product for the most part, our milk and dairy, etc. A little bit they do, but not much. We take theirs. And as far as cars are concerned, they took in a big percentage, almost 19% of the market. And, I wouldn't mind making our cars in the United States, so we have a problem there. I'd like to make our cars in the U.S. We don't need Canada to make our cars. With that being said, we're going to have another call at 3 o'clock. We had a call this morning. It was a pretty good call, I'd say.
Canada or China could also get out of the tariffs after you struck a deal with Mexico?
Well, nobody's out with Mexico. We had a great talk with Mexico, and we had President Sheinbaum is a woman. I like her very much. We've had good relationships, but we have to stop fentanyl from coming in, whether I like somebody or not, and we have to stop the illegal aliens from coming in. I think we've lost 200,000 people on average a year for many years, much higher than the 100,000, could be even closer to 300,000. And they've agreed to put in 10,000 soldiers permanently, like forever, 10,000 soldiers at their side of the border and stop fentanyl and illegal aliens from coming into our country. They have a big incentive to do. Other than that, we've agreed to talk and consider various other things. We haven't agreed on tariffs yet, and maybe we will, maybe we won't. But we have a very good relationship.
It's really been a big job for the cabinet and the exchequers here, the entire government. So a huge team altogether. I feel not only supported, but I think that we can really build something here. I had a conversation with President Trump. Yesterday, he said that he would call me, and he did at 8 this morning. And I had a conversation with him. We asked for one on Friday. And at 8 today, we had one. It was a long conversation, I would say, about a quarter of an hour, or 3/4 of an hour, rather. And we broached a number of mutual issues. And we agreed to work together on migration, for example, and protection and respect of human rights. And afterwards, we talked about us as well. The fentanyl traffic and other drugs as well, coming from Mexico to the States. And we put forward a number of proposals, and finally, we agreed that we should set up national guards on both sides of the frontier to protect the frontier and to avoid drug trafficking on both sides. And we agreed that there should be a pause to the tariffs.